Perfect. So, welcome, guys. Today, you both are going to be my victims. Today, the class, it's going to be more about logic. We were going to talk about how do we know what we know, so then we're able to actually transfer that information, that knowledge, to a logic system, meaning your chatbot. Especially when we're talking about AI chatbots that we are prompting and we're giving that kind of information. So one of the things that I want to give you as a background or as part of the context of what we're doing here is I don't know about you, but most Latinos at least grow up in an environment when instead of adults telling us stuff, it was more like, how is it possible that you don't know that if you mix cloro with ácido muriático, you're going to die? Or don't you know that if you put boiling water in plastic, the plastic is going to melt? And how is possible that you're a child, you don't have those experiences, you don't know, you don't understand. So that context is for you to understand that that's what we're doing to the chatbots. Okay, right now many of us are doing that to our prompts, assuming that the AI has to extract the way I want stuff to be done, or the way I used to do stuff, or what's going on the office, so it actually can do it correctly. And that's a problem, because as you go back to when you were a kid and we were telling you, how is it possible that you don't know that, or that you don't know that it is not allowed to park in there when it's the first time you're driving, and nobody's teaching you that kind of things. So one of the things that I want to talk about this one is that the question that I would like you to start doing to yourself is, how do I know that I know this for a fact? Okay, example, how do I know that I'm speaking to a client? Steve, how do you usually know that you're speaking to a client?
We have some prearranged meeting, or we've had a previous meeting, that type of thing.
Okay, so you have a record of that person, first of all, talking to you in the past, and second, you have a bank transfer or a bank statement saying this person is giving me money, so that person is my client, right?
Right.
So, okay, how your bot or your chatbot could be able to tell that you had an appointment or that that person have ever gave money to you, therefore is a client. Okay, so you're Robert, you're seeing where I'm trying to go with this kind of logic. So how
Sure.
do you usually do that one? How do you usually tell a chatbot you're speaking to a client? And this is how you know that Steve is Robert's client. How do you do it?
In my case, I use tags to tell the bot this is a client or a buyer, uh, and I tag him, so the bot knows he's or a prospect or a buyer. I mean, with tags. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So then I have another question, and maybe Steve, you can help me with this one. Okay, Robert is doing tags. So let's assume that you are helping Robert with his chatbot, and he tells you, okay, if the user has a tag, then it's a buyer, it's a customer, it's someone who is paying. But how does the bot should behave if the tag doesn't exist? Okay, I will try to use this one because this is the logic I'm trying to help me come up with. If this is a new person, how can I tell? This is the first time I talk to this person. This is the first time this receptionist is facing this human. How the receptionist, how the AI chatbot will be able to tell if the user is already a customer or is a new person? What does the bot has to assume? What's the instruction you will give it?
So if a tag exists, obviously there is a relationship there. There's been, they visited the bot before and that type of thing. And if there is no tag, then you have to assume that it knows nothing about your current situation and get it up to speed.
Exactly. So in this case, Robert, did you have, we're talking about your chatbot, so I'm going there. Do you have any system in place where if a person just interacts with the bot and says, no, I'm already a customer, I don't want to buy, I'm already a customer and I have an issue. Do you have somewhere where if it was a human getting in the chat can check if this is true, if this is an actual customer?
Yeah, there's a database where the
Okay.
bot can check in a Google Sheet, can check, oh, this is a customer, yes, or we made a transaction before, I don't know, but yes, he can verify.
Okay, what information do you need? What information do you have to tell the chatbot to collect in order for itself going to your database and telling, oh yes, you are a customer who didn't have a tag. Let me tag you. Now I can treat you as a customer.
Yeah, you need the name, the full name, maybe, bueno, I use the phone number because WhatsApp, and some others in the US use a lot of email. Yes, so
Okay.
that would be
Yeah.
a valid information, but for me, it's the phone number. It's very important.
Okay, for you it's the phone number, but if you come to us, for example, in ChatbotBuilder and say, hey, I got a custom domain or I got an account with you guys and I'm having issues, the first thing we need to ask is your billing email. Why?
Yeah,
Because that's something that we know that we have, and that's something that even if I have two Robertos or I have two Stevens, well, the email should remain a single one. It's a unique identifier.
yeah,
Okay? So that's something that we know. So in this kind of logic, what I'm trying to teach you here, and you're helping me educate others about these kind of things, is, okay, we need to be clear that if I'm training a chatbot, I'm training a new employee, I need to assume that this entity, this AI, knows nothing, and I have to teach it everything. Okay, so okay, what information do I need? Well, the email, the billing email. But if I only say email, then the bot might give the hint to the user to provide the preferred email. And you might know that sometimes we have one email for stuff that we actually read, we have one for spam, and we have one for for the business stuff. So we need for them to provide the one that gave us before, otherwise we will never be able to match. And that's something that a human can assume. Okay? So now I go again with this same logic, because right now we know that if it's tagged, it's a customer. If it's not tagged, but it says that it's a customer, we need to collect a piece of data, either the email or the phone number, depending on the case. And I'm going to go to a database and check. And if I find a match, I'm going to tag it so I can treat this user as a buyer. Okay? But what happens if I don't find a match, but the user is still insisting? What's the logic in there? Okay, yeah, I see faces that tells me that whenever we're building, we are forgetting about what if I fail? What if the AI doesn't know? That's the kind of the safety nets that sometimes happen, and you're like, it was logic, you just have to ask for another email. Like, hey, this email, I couldn't match it. Is it like spelled correctly? Do you have any other email that could have been? Because a human will have done that. That's what a human will have done. But the AI will just say, you're not, you're lying. Okay? So that's some of the details that we need to start building. Okay? Was that one a little bit clearer? And before I move to another logic step or logic class on this one, I would like to ask you guys, at least Roberto and Steve, that are the ones who were here before, was that one helpful? That one opens your mind.
Yes.
yes, very clear. Yeah.
Okay, can you think of one example where your chatbot failed because you forgot to do any of those details?
Not right offhand, but because again, it's about anticipating what the end user is going to try to, are they trying to, um, are they trying to get into your system? Are they trying to utilize it after their subscription has expired? And maybe you haven't shut it off from the administrative side. I mean, there's just lots of things there that you have to think about that maybe you're not so concerned with, but you should be.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, you can then anticipate everything. That's not true, and that's why we're using AI instead of rule based. So in this case, what you have to do is the ground rules for a human. If you don't know what to do, what are you going to do? Okay, if the AI is presented with a case that is sensitive, like, okay, I had my credit card stolen and I need your help to change and update those details on my payment with you because I don't want to lose my account. Okay, that is sensitive. That's something that you cannot prepare the AI to actually perform. Maybe you can say, oh, this is the billing email where you can update all your details. Maybe. Okay, that's one way. But if it doesn't know how to do it, you need to have a logic that says, oh, I don't know. I have to, as an AI, I have to admit that I don't know. And I'm going to notify a human. Okay? That's the kind of things. Okay, you cannot anticipate everything, but you at least need to know that you cannot anticipate everything. And because of that, you're having a logic that will allow the human to actually take care of that one and to tell, oh, you know what, this one is quite of normal, so I should have something for this and I can automate. That's when you come in and do those updates. But the first thing you need to know is, okay, if I'm going to tell the AI to treat users differently according to their stages or according to a tag, I need to be sure that if there's a mistake, there is a route. Okay, if the user is telling me that there is a mistake, I need to know that there is a way for me to fix it or for me to find out. Okay, that's something. So, Alejandro, do you speak English or Spanish? Both, perfect. Okay, so this class is the one in English. So if you have any issues with my pronunciation or something, you just let me know. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we already touched a little bit about not given for a given, not assuming that the AI knows. Okay, that's one, and that one is more like it can be a hard logic because this can be conditions. But when we're prompting, sometimes we forget to tell the AI details, examples. Sometimes I have seen that the prompt said, collect all the contact details. Okay, for Roberto, the contact details might mean WhatsApp. Maybe for Steven might mean the office number. Maybe for Steven, the email is more important, but maybe for Roberto, it's like, whatever. And maybe Alejandro is like, no, I don't want any of those. I want the handler for Instagram because that's where I'm going. Or I want the Discord one because we are more like with the more younger kind of situation. So it's different for each one of you. And you can tell it the AI, okay, what if for Roberto, the WhatsApp is a must and the email is a plus? So if the user said, I don't want to give you my email, should the AI grant that access, yes or no? Some details, those are details that sometimes I see many of you forgetting, that you must let the AI know what to do when you're requesting that information. The other thing that I see that many of you forget is that you're looking for the real, the correct, and the current email or contact info. Okay, why am I saying this? Because sometimes we see the AI making up that information, especially when we're talking about functions. Any of you have ever faced the AI making up names, emails, or phone numbers when you're triggering a function? Please let me know because I cannot read mine. So we're talking about not assuming.
Yes, yes. The first time that I used CBB, I was like, why is this number here or this name? But then I get it. But yes, I have been there. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Alejandro, had you been there? Like when the AI makes up information? Yeah? Would you mind sharing your experience there? I cannot hear you. Okay, I guess you're having trouble with that one, right? Okay, so sometimes that happens because we're assuming that it's logical that I want the real one. It is completely obvious that I want the real one, but the AI just listen. Okay, I need a phone number. I need an a email, and that's what it's giving you. And again, if I go with the spectrum kind of assistant, like it's going to do exactly what you say and not what you meant. I have seen a lot of you, not you specifically, but a lot of users doing prompts where they are telling, always ask for the phone number and the email, and then they get mad because every single time the bot is asking for the email and the phone number, when the instruction was word by word, always ask for. How would you change it, Steven? How will you change the wording for it to be more clearer about what the actual human behavior when collecting that information should be?
So you could ask for like their current cell phone number and billing email address, being very specific about those particular items. And then possibly having them do a verification of sorts to make sure that you're getting the correct email, that type of thing.
Perfect. And something that you can add to the beginning of that wording of that instruction is, if you don't have the phone, email, and name, you must collect phone, email, and name. The correct, the current, and all the instructions after that. But the first thing you need to do, and again, we're talking about the human logic. A human, the first thing it's going to do is going to check, oh, in my list I have Steven, but I don't have his details. Can you please provide me your details? Is this one correct? So let's try, I don't know in the US, but in Mexico we had a game for the kids that it was called like the wolf, El Lobo. And what it's meant to do is to teach kids stages, like the steps, what you do first. First, you just step into the shower, then you wash your hair, then you wash your body, then you get out and you dry yourself and you put your clothes on, and then you can go out. You cannot miss steps because otherwise there's something missing. So that's a game for kids like a toddler. And that's something that I want you to think about that, like visualize it. Okay, I'm going to verify if I have this information, but if I don't have it, this I'm going to do. If I already have it, this I'm going to do. Okay, but I need you to visualize that. Otherwise, what you're going to end up is with, because I have seen this in the prompts, like, okay, I want you to book appointments and you're going to collect the email, the phone number, and then if the user wants to see pricing, you're going to show the pricing. Oh, but when you're collecting the information for the booking, please remember to know what service do they want. And then we were talking about the pricing. So if the pricing they're asking is, and you have like a train of thoughts, like all messy, the AI will get as lost as you were when you're child. Just imagine telling that to a kid. How is it the kid is going to follow those instructions? He's going to do half of one, half of another, and pray that you don't get mad. So that kind of things is something that we need to do. And I get it. Sometimes I do also prompt like, let's dump everything in my mind in there, and then I'm going to clean it up. Okay, but it's important for you to know that it does need cleaning. It's something that helps, and if you are not doing it currently, I really encourage you to do, is to share that prompt with someone who doesn't know anything about AI nor bots. Ask that person, if you leave that person alone with those instructions, will that person be able to follow it? Or is there something that say, hey, wait, this one I don't know. And if you want to corroborate, because you will sometimes find this behavior that they will say, yes, I can handle it. Okay, can you do this one? And see how they behave. If the behavior is similar to what you're expecting, then it's working. But if the behavior that the user has is similar to the bot's doing, that is a wrongdoing, like the bot is doing it wrong, and the humans are doing it wrong too, that means the instructions need some help. Okay. So at this stage, we were clear on this other side of things that, okay, we need to be clear on the instructions. We need to be organized on how we give them. We need to be aware that we are going to get what we ask and not what we meant. Are we clear on those?
Yep.
Wendy,
Yeah.
am I understanding correctly that you're taking small deliberate steps, gaining a little bit of information at a time, but then one step leads to the next step until you have all the information that you need or you get to the destination you're looking for? Is that a good way
Yeah.
to interpret that?
It will depend, because sometimes you have things that are not linked to each other, but sometimes you do have them linked to each other. Example, something that I have noticed in the logic building is that sometimes you have a ton of information in the prompt and a tiny bit of information that kind of overlaps on the function, and you're expecting the bot to understand that one complements the other, but you're not specific about that. So that's something that usually ends up with the bot not doing what you were expecting. Example, it will pretend that it's collecting information, but it's never triggering the function, meaning it's never saving the information, which by like tangibles means, it means that it's not collecting it, because only the AI knows, but the bot doesn't know. And I don't know, because I will have to read the full conversation again to get that information. So that's something that we need to be very aware of. So coming back to what you're saying, yes, sometimes it will be extremely necessary for you to build it in a way that, okay, you're going to, if a user wants to book an appointment, you first must make sure that the user is pre-qualified. And the way you're going to know that the user is pre-qualified is by asking these questions. Once the user has answered all of these questions and fits this, I don't know, answer yes to the number 2 or whatever, you give the qualifications, then you can provide the options to book, or you can ask the user if it's ready to book an appointment. Why? Because I have a function that says book appointment. So when the user says, yes, I'm ready, or yes, I want to book, then I'm going to trigger the function. And maybe my function does have all the pre-qualification questions, so I can save the information at that stage whenever they're qualified. So yes, in that kind of scenarios, it's a must to have it structured in, okay, first you tell if this person wants to buy, then if they want to buy and they want to book a demo, then you need to pre-qualify them. Or they want to book a call, I need to pre-qualify them. This is how you pre-qualify them, and this is what you do after. Does that make sense, Steven? Okay, Alejandro, do you have questions in this one? You can type me a message if you need to. Okay, perfect. Roberto, did I lost you in somewhere?
No, I'm okay with it. Actually, I could tell you another error that usually I usually see. Sometimes you tell the bot you should save the client requirements or the client answers. Yes, but but the bot doesn't know where to save it. I mean, yeah, save it. The bot doesn't save the info, but where he's gonna save it, and then you should
Yeah,
create the cuff.
that's an
Right?
amazing example, because if I tell a kid, oh, you have to take notes of all the answers, they might get a post-it, they might get a napkin, they could get a book and write on the back of the book, because I didn't tell the kid where to do it. When I had a format and I have a document where I want everything organized and I want it stored in a certain way. Okay, that's a huge thing, because also something that people don't finish understanding in this logic is, and I have talked about this one on the Latino group on WhatsApp, is that we need to see the AI prompt as the brain and the tongue, maybe, because it can think, it can process information, and it can speak it out, it can print the resolution, but it doesn't have hands, meaning it cannot write down stuff. It cannot deliver stuff. You can only tell. Okay.
So Wendy, when in the overall prompt, you're basically building the overall structure of what you're trying to gather. Then once the prompt is invokes the trigger, so we get over to, let's say we're collecting lead information, then that's when you're basically telling it, hey, pick up your pencil and let's write this information, correct? So my question from directly related to building a system, when you get to the triggers page where it says add new, you give it the name, and what does this trigger do? Is it, how important is that information going forward? I mean, is that where we be more very specific about then the data that we're actually collecting, or is it not so important there?
It's huge. Okay, remember that the name and what does the trigger does are the only way the AI has to match intention with what do I do. Okay, so if that one is not clear enough or is coded to something that only myself know, the AI will get lost. So something that you can think of is, okay, the AI knows that has to book an appointment, but how do I book an appointment? So the specific steps of how to do stuff or how to perform a task will be inside there, inside the function. So something that you need to consider is that you have a limited space in that mini prompt that you have on what does the trigger does. So sometimes you will have to complement with the prompt where you have more space. So you will have to get super smart on, okay, if I don't have enough space, then what is a must to be in the function? What I need to borrow space from the prompt, but always letting it know that the main instruction is there. Or how am I going to link it? You have to word it in a way that there's no room for a mistake, that any human can understand, oh, okay, these are together. Not just because they are they're like kind of, oh, this is obvious. It was obvious. Like, oh, I told you to wash the dishes. It was obvious that if there was a pan, I wanted you to wash it as well. You know, that kind of things that you need to be clear of.
So in the prompt, it might be collect the contact information. Then when you get to the trigger, the little section on the trigger page, then it's allow the user to submit their information, their full name, their email, their phone, maximum price, and time frame. Do not move forward until each field is complete. Something like that.
Exactly. That's something that you can do. That's something that you can do. And something that I do as well is where it, you know, that below that you have to collect information. You have what you're asking and where you're saving it. Sometimes when I need to be super specific, I do so use the space on what am I collecting. Example, user's email address, user's billing email. You see, I'm being like super specific, not just email, because email, it can be any email, but user's billing email, it's specific. You know, that's the one. Even I can go even more. User's billing email on file. So that kind of things help me be more specific to what I need to be saved. Does that one happen with it?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we were checking that one. We're checking the prompt. Which one I'm missing? Because I lost the next one. I forgot about the next one. Okay. Okay. Something else that I have noticed that we are missing on the logic is when we are facing a trouble, like we are having a problem that we don't know how to actually solve, we forget what we are looking for and we get distracted. Okay. Example, okay, I'm doing something super complex because I do an external request, and when the external request comes back, it says a custom field, and that custom field, what I'm doing is I'm going to look to a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is coming back with information, and then I craft the response to the user. You see, there's like a lot of breaking points. In those kind of cases, the logic is I need to close the number of mistakes that can be happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take step by step, and I'm going to corroborate that it's doing what is expected. Okay, if the external request is working, perfect. But is it saving? How can I tell if it's saving? Well, I go and check the custom field. Is it saving the information that I need? I need to have both at my eyes and see, okay, this is the information coming from the external request. This is the information being saved. Perfect. It's working as it should be working. Okay, now that step, I don't think about it anymore. I go to the next one. I'm going to the spreadsheet. Okay, how do I have my spreadsheet in this case? Because I'm doing just a scenario, right? So I'm looking for this value that I saved. So this time I don't need to think about the external request. I need to think, does this custom field has any value? Yes or no? Yes, because it's being saved. Perfect. The value does match with what I want to do on the spreadsheet. Yes. Does the value I'm pasting in the proper place in the filter? Do I have more filters? Am I saving in the custom fields that are correct? Does the formats actually match? Example where the match can be broken. If I have a date and a date and time field, custom field, and I'm trying to import data into that one, it must, and I repeat, it must fit the format. Otherwise, it will always remain blank. Okay? If I have a custom field that is for number or is a numeric custom field, and I'm trying to save a word, I'm trying to save the letter A, for example, it will never work. Okay? Those kind of details of logic that sometimes are getting forgotten, those are the ones that I need you to be more aware of. Okay? Because we need to be sure of what am I looking for and try to close it to what actually it's the issue. Because sometimes you go like, oh, the bot is not working. One that I saw last week was, the bot is not responding, the bot is not responding. So the user was like, okay, it has to be the AI, it has to be my API key. And we did all of the checkup. And when we went to the basics, we went to, okay, what's your default response? The default response had a condition, and the condition was sending to nothing. Okay? The user was distracted with all of the techie stuff and forgot to check the basic, the 101. So that's one thing that I need you to be aware of. So I will open a moment for you guys to ask all the questions that you might have about logic and about building, because I think we covered at least a little bit of the main issues that you will face when you're prompting. Oh, now I remember where I got cut off. Okay, so the thing is, the prompt will be the brain and the tongue. It's going to speak the stuff, but it doesn't have hands. So we're going to give it the hands when we do the functions. Okay, when we trigger a function, we're giving the hands. It can actually write down stuff, and it can deliver a flow, for example. And the flows are going to be your tools. There are things that we can do with our hands, we can write down, but there will be things that we need a specialized tool. Okay, and those can be, I'm triggering a flow because the flow has logic, because the flow has external requests, because the flow triggers this, because the flow does that, because adds a tag, because blah, 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 because it does more than the AI can actually do by itself. And that's how it's so powerful, because you have the 3 stages. You have the brain, you have the option to actually write down stuff, and you have the option to use tools, specialized tools, to do the more complex stuff. Okay, so that was the part that I was missing. Now, questions. Do you have questions? Do you have any specific issue that you're saying, okay, this one is killing me, and the logic, I just can't solve it? This is your chance. Oh, I have pro experts, builder experts here. No one has any questions.
No, the situation, it's problems come up and when you're building in the situation, but you work at them and solve them, and then you come to something like this just to learn something. So there's times when I would love to have you to say, how can I do this? You know, and save me 2 hours of trying to figure something out.
The thing is, we usually try to overcomplicate things. Why? Because we assume that human brain is way too complex and my situation is way too complex and unique. And yes, human brain is amazing. And yes, every business is unique, but problems usually are the same across all of the businesses. Example, okay, a hospital or maybe a doctor is completely not the same as a lawyer. But if they both need to book appointments, well, they both need to get phone, email, name, and why do I have to have a time for you? So the problem solution is the same one. The wording will be different. The problem solution will be the same one. Both cases have sensitive data that I should not be asking on the chat. Both cases might have some resistance from the user to share some details. In both cases can be an expensive appointment. So, okay, it's not the same, but it's the same problem. So with that in mind, something that I have had a hard time trying to figure out is how to simplify stuff. So when you're thinking yourself, okay, how do I know what information do I need to collect? How do I know that I'm missing this information? How do I know that I have to ask for this? Also ask, okay, how can I group stuff? How can I minimize my work? Because actually your job or our jobs is to simplify because we're automating stuff, and we cannot automate something that is diverse. We need to automate something that follows a path, that follows a single logic. Does that make sense? I mean, I understand that everything is unique, and that's why we have AI to adapt to each case. Still, the logic is the same. When there's an input, there's an output, and there is a prompt that tells me how to process that input so I can provide an output. So the solution is the same one for everybody. You see? So yeah, sometimes the issue will be like we're trying to overcomplicate things when it's super simple. Something that I learned from Danny Monson was that he was once talking on a conference, I think, or it was a class, I don't remember, but he was speaking, and he was talking about how he was bringing a lot of new customers, and how the repeated customers were coming more times thanks to the chatbot he was building. And people was like, and how can you tell that the user it's a repeated customer? Are you tracking the phones? Do you have something that you install on the phone so you can know that this person is coming back? Or do you have face tracking so you can like check the faces when they're coming in? And he's like, no, I just asked the user, have you ever been with us before? Yes or no? And the user tells me. We are overcomplicated things because we're talking about the technology, and we want to be so techy, and we want to be so advanced that sometimes we forget that the simple way we can do it is the best. Actually, you will notice that a lot of times Ryan's best bots will be the ones that simplify a lot of stuff. That is like, it was this easy. Roberto, Alejandro, questions? Because Steve says that he doesn't have any questions. He will be building, and then he will be, oh, this one, that's the one that I should have asked. Or I forgot I was having this one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like when somebody asks you to tell a joke and you get nervous,
Yeah.
something like that. You forget all the jokes, but that is a question. I think I have figured it out, but I'm not quite sure. Sometimes about logic, you give instructions on the prompt about something. I don't know, any example, whatever. And then when you tell him activate this, trigger this function when this happens, and when I create the function, I write almost the same. Allows the user to do X thing and collect this data or do this. I mean, I repeat in both in from the prompt and in the action, and it works very good for me. And in the function, and it works well for me. Is that correct?
Yeah, the thing is, you need to make it like it's an obvious choice, like super easy for the AI to match them both. The thing that you need to be careful with doing that is that the AI doesn't think that it has finished whenever they finish the prompt part, and they know that they have to go check there. Why? Because again, if I'm talking to a teenager and I tell wash the dishes, and there was like a pan or there was a glass, they will say, no, you said the dishes. I did the dishes, you know? Or you say, oh, I need you to take out the trash. And they forgot to add a new a bag in the trash can, you know? And they're like, no, 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 I took it out. You said took it out. You never said anything about a new one, you know? Oh, I told you to take out the laundry out of the wash machine. Yeah, but you never said to fold it and to place it on the closet, you know? That kind of details, that's something that you need to be super careful, because it will behave as a teenager sometimes. Sometimes it will be like super cute and do everything that you want, even more that you were thinking of that it could do. And sometimes it will be like, nah, you didn't say that. Well, that's not in my contract. You know, that's not even, that's not in my contract.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
So Alejandro says that next time he will have questions. So I have a challenge for you, Alejandro. I need you to start building, or to like try to get in trouble building these days. Like Tuesdays you have Wednesday and Thursday, because Friday we have a Q&A. In that Q&A you will have the opportunity to tell me, okay, I tried, or I was trying to build this and I face this issue, or I'm having this problem with the wording I'm using, you know, that kind of details. Okay.